Greetings YouTube, and welcome to my next build project. So we have a baseball bat, one which I happen to really like the patina on. I think I should be able to use that. I think for this project the barrel is long enough, because I've seen a lot of variation in baseball bats. I'm quite surprised how really non-standard they are, but I think this barrel is long enough. We'll find out when I get to the actual assembly part. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this pair of skates, women's skates, and I'm going to remove the blades. And I picked this pair because I like the nice wide sections in here, because I have to curve these slightly to fit the curve of the barrel. But most of it, I like the fact that these four are fasteners I can remove. These up here, which is there are 8 on each one, which is kind of a pain in the butt, I'm going to have to grind those tops off, which is going to be a bit of a pain. I have to figure out how I'm going to hold it in my vise so that I can access that successfully. We'll figure it out. Then I don't know what I'm going to do with the shoes. I really don't, because they're going to be of no use to me whatsoever. And they're not proper shoes. They're not going to bend, and they're not really meant for anything other than ice skates. So I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I would feel really bad just chucking leather shoes, because they're in remarkably decent condition. I have no idea how old they are. And then I'm going to try to put some kind of a bevel on this. This steel was never meant for that, and I'm not going to harden it, but I'm going to start here. I want to keep the points for there. And I start here and try to grind some kind of a bevel onto this. I just don't know how much I'm going to be able to get. So first up is going to figure out how I'm going to hold it in my vise, and then I'm going to take these off first, because again I can get these fasteners off later. So I'm going to get these ground off first. So see if I can figure out how to hold it. So I tilted the vise at about a 30-degree angle, I think, and that let me get it in here so that I had some clearance here between the table and the skate part, the shoe part. So it's pretty darn firm, because I've actually got a grip on the blade itself as well as the post there, so it's pretty firm. So now it's going to be getting my headphones on for some ear protection, get my grinder out, put my apron on and such, and then start grinding. And I may just come onto this side and attach it from this angle, because that way I don't have to reconfigure the whole vise to find a different angle to get from this direction. So I'll work on this one probably at the same from this position. It's not going to be ideal, but I'll make it work. All right, now I got the heads of these things all ground off. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but I can just barely see a post. So the mushroom heads are completely gone. So now I'm going to try to wedge something underneath this. Unfortunately, I had some melting, so I may be contending with the fact that I have just melted some of this metal to the shoe. So I may have made my job more difficult, but there wasn't really anything I could do about that. I don't have access to a mill where I could have just machined these off. I can't do that. So grinding is pretty much my only option. So I'm going to see if I can get something wedged in here, and then work my way that way. Okay, I made an interesting discovery then. All these holes are round. 3 of them on each side are round, and this one on both sides is oblong. I don't know why. I used a putty knife to start it, and then I used this stone chisel to finish the job, because I could really reef on that and not worry about hurting it. So I came in here, pried it off enough to get the stone chisel started, and then just started hammering as hard as I could till we're clear. So now to turn it around, and I'll probably hold it in the vise in the same way and get those out with a driver. So there we go, with the use of a DeWalt square drive and my HGX ratchet driver. I now have a free boot. And I can't use this shoe for anything as it is, but I'm not going to initially throw it away. Maybe I can use the tongues for something, because it is leather. Maybe I can use that for some purpose. So I'm not initially going to throw them away. I may be able to repurpose them. And I'm really impressed by how long these things are. Those are deep screws, so I'm going to reuse those for the project. So the screws themselves will live on in the new weapon project, which I think is nice. They'll get a little more use, and it also kind of because I am going for a post-apocalyptic vibe. Reuse of things is important. So there we have the skate itself. So I'm going to remove the other blade first before I do anything else. So there we go. And this will fit on the barrel if I get it right up there to the tip, which is fine. So now I'm going to bend the steel before I go to sharpen it. I don't want to be dealing with this once it's sharpened. It'd be more dangerous when I'm at that stage. So I'm going to bend it ever so slightly. I'm going to use the vise itself so I can get as clean a bend as I can, and essentially I'm not going to curve it. I'm just going to put two very shallow angles in both sides, so that kind of just has contact, relatively flush contact with the barrel of the wood, and I'm going to try to do it as gently as I can, and I will try to bend at this point, and at this point I'll try bending here first and see how it goes. But that's the next stage. So there we go. This is essentially the way it's going to look. It's not perfect. One of the problems is that it's asymmetric, so that makes the bending process a little more challenging, but it gets to the point where I have some decent contact, and I do have four holes on each one of these things to really snug it down. And there's a slight split in that wood, and I'm going to make sure I put this right over it, so that's going to actually completely cover up that wood. And again, I'm going for the aesthetic because it's a really nice patina on this bat. I don't know if I can call that on wood patina, but that's what I'm calling it. Really nice look, and I love that old wrapped handle. It just looks really cool. So this one's done, and now I'm going to do the second one and hopefully get it as close as possible. Okay, this one is very close to the way I want to keep it, this edge. It's very close to what I want. And I sharpened this one holding it in the vise alone, and it's just not working, because what it means I have to hold it here, grind this half, hold it there, hold it here, grind that part, hold it there, or in the middle and grind this part. And I'm getting an uneven, there's a joint in here, a bridge between the two sections, and it's not quite looking as nice as I want to. So for the second one, I'm going to go to the next step of bolting this thing, screwing it to the barrel, and then grinding the edge when it's just sitting on the bat. And I will touch up this when I'm done and try to make the edge look a little bit better. But this is what crafting is about sometimes. You got to try something one way before you find out that it doesn't work, so you can go then try something else a different way. So this time I've discovered that this is not exactly what I want. So what I do want is to break out my drill bits and start drilling some pilot holes so I can put in 2 screws. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the barrel with an awl, drill 1 hole, put that screw in, and then mark the other hole, drill it, and then once I know for sure that everything's exactly where I want it to, because that's where it's those 2 holes are going to be the most important, I will then drill and screw all the other holes with the blade in place. So the next step is to get the next one in, and I'm going to do the sharp one, get it out of the way before I do the other one. I don't really think it matters. Oh, if I do this one, they do the blunt one, I may be able to clamp it in place. Can't clamp that now. It's another reason I should have put it on. I can't clamp it because it's got a sharp edge now. But I can clamp that one. It still has a square edge. So yeah, maybe I'll try that. So there we go. Both blades are mounted. They're not perfectly straight. I think in the process of bending the mounts, I may have skewed the blade a little bit, but I'm okay with this. Again, I'm going for a post-apocalyptic aesthetic, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And with this up here, I can get one smooth motion with my angle grinder. So I've used a DeWalt grinding wheel to do the bulk of the work, and then I used a 80 grit flap wheel to touch it up. Now it's not perfect, it's not shaving sharp, but it is very much sharp enough to do damage to soft tissue, and that this is really designed for that kind of an application. In a post-apocalyptic setting, I don't think a whole lot of people are going to be wearing plate mail anyway. So this one is done. So now I'm going to turn the bat over, or at this point I'd probably call it a battle axe. Turn it over and work on the other blade, which has not been touched. But now that it's mounted here, I think it's going to be a whole lot easier as far as the level of work required, because I have nothing in my way and I can make one smooth transition, and I've preserved these points like I wanted to. I just like the way they look, and I didn't want to ruin that. I think they have a nice aesthetic. So they're where I want them. They line up pretty much exactly where I want them to be. And now it's just a matter of sharpening the other side. So there we go. I did succeed in snapping off one of the screws. I discovered that they weren't all that strong, and I couldn't really do anything about it at that point because, you know, there's now a screw shaft stuck in there, but that's life. It's still got 7 more fasteners on that blade, so I'm not too concerned. And again, I'm not actually going to use this in combat. I'm just going to like take it outside, take some pictures of it, and show it off, and then put it in my weapons rack. But there you go. One post-apocalyptic battle axe or skate blade axe. Probably call it a skate blade axe. I like that skate blade axe. I like the way that rolls off the tongue. So I'm going to take it outside now, get some pictures, and go wash up. I'll actually vacuum up first. I'm going to vacuum up my bench. The new shop vac I've got is excellent at that. Gets all this nitty-gritty crap off the surface. So yep, now it's time for pictures.